everyone, Julija Simas here for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. I welcome you today for a Aries Ingress 2026 panel. And with me today, as I'm going down from from what I can see, is Rod Chang in the UK. Welcome, Rod.
Hello, nice to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. And then the next one down is Liz Hathway in Amsterdam. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, hi everyone.
And then below Liz is Kenan from Istanbul. Welcome, Kenan. Well,
Welcome, hello. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
thanks for joining me. I know you're all very busy and it takes a lot of effort to make a time work for everyone. So this session, I'm in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, but the other three are Europe based. So um, anyway, we're recording this on the March the 17th and talking about the Aries Ingress. So, I mean, we've all had a good look at that by now, haven't we? The Aries Ingress chart. And there's quite a few interesting things going on, as we know. Um, okay, why isn't this changing screen? Ah. Here we go. So I just thought that we just have a quick look back at the Aries Ingress 2025 because we already had a stellium in Pisces with Saturn and Neptune there, which are now, of course, in Aries, and we had the Aries stellium as well. Um, and I mean, looking back and then seeing how this year has ended, even though we look at the Aries ingress maybe a few months before, let's say after the Capricorn ingress, to indicate that the new ingress for the year is coming in. I mean, this one's just really played out significantly, hasn't it? When we think about Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries, now I remember looking at that a bit closer in an article in the sense of how rare it was to find Mercury and Venus retrograde at an Aries ingress, right? In the same sign. I found them, Mercury stationing in Pisces or something, and Venus in Aries, and all the other versions, but not that close together. I mean, what, how have we seen that, play out in 2025 and coming into this ingress?
I can comment, say
Yes,
something
yes,
like that.
please.
I think the planet here that's of interest to me is Mars, right? Because it is ruling the Aries ingress. And Mars was coming out here of a long transit in Cancer, right? It had
Mhm.
gone into Leo, gone retrograde. So it was retrograde at the time of Trump's inauguration in Cancer. And it was a main player right through the inauguration chart. I think it was quite prominent, maybe angular at the inauguration of Trump. And it carries right through into like the change in relationship between Europe and the US, because I think it was in February, J.D. Vance gave his awful speech in Munich. Mars was in Cancer then, exactly on the ascendant, rising in Munich. So this kind of quite, it's kind of quite a malignant Mars really in Cancer, isn't it? It's in fall. But it seems to have been playing an incredible role in setting up, because it first ingressed before Trump was re-elected. So it carried right on through. And I think now the effect of all the kind of hostility of Mars in Cancer at that whole period, we can see it now in like Trump's call for allies, right, which has taken us into the new ingress, and the lack of people wanting to join in because he's set about insulting everybody because Mars was conjunct Mercury in the US chart, isn't it? Mercury's at 24 Cancer. So it set up a kind of a nasty vibe, if you like, which is still playing out because countries are now saying, hey, you've been kicking us for months, England, for example, UK, Starmer, particularly. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, now you're,
Spain.
yeah. So I
Mm,
think Mars is really significant in this chart as ruler of the US. I think it's manifested on so many levels since its first ingress there in September 2024 was when it first entered Cancer. So I think
Mars,
Mars is definitely a
yeah,
player.
was also out of bounds together
yeah.
with the moon. Yeah, it's very significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, gone
Yeah.
haywire for sure.
Yeah, if we added a few things happened last year, it would be very interesting. For example, in the early that time, we have like a Thailand Cambodia borders dispute, and then the coast really caused a Thailand prime minister to go away, and the whole country is unstable in the politics, has a constitution crisis. And then in October, maybe not many people, not October, December, not we don't really pay attention. Madagascar has a coup. And they was like,
Uh-huh.
how wow, and it's just like, how come? Because the protest for food and inflation, and the government ignore it. So they military, to be honest, the military just like kick out the government, have another one. So you can see that Moon, Mars, Autobahn, then we have that. I think I don't want to contribute only Moon, Mars, Autobahn for the inflation. As a financial astrologer, we work with like everything, like for example, the Neptune moving into the Aries, and then that is a sign, and also that time the Neptune with a node was very close. This is another sign that suggests inflation. Another things you probably need like Mars or Jupiter or any fire sign to just keep fill it up. So that is pretty interesting. And another things, maybe we'll make a comment later for the when we talk about 2026, but it will start the 2025 is like there will be a period of time all the planet in one side of north node and south node, and this happen only for this year and next year, and then it will continue. It will stop until like 2038, I think.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, then the other thing was like that made, let's say, that ingress unique was the out of bounds lunar standstill that we were kind of in the
Yeah.
middle of, or at the peak of, as well as like just here the Pluto moon, the Sun moon conjunct midpoint conjunct Pluto, where it's like everything's just gone so volatile, and then there's a war on oil that we end with. Um,
Yeah.
or war on drugs, war on oil, Neptune North Node. I mean, I think we all recognize that Neptune rules shipping and oil and so on. But Pluto does also rule the oil, the underground kind of gold, doesn't it? Like we look at both of them as rulers of, the black gold, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. Am I allowed to add just few things? Just
Yes.
like a couple days ago, me and Liz, we were in our podcast, and Liz mentioned the Neptune oil things, and I heard about so many astrologers talking about both things. And well, I think Kenan is also working with chemistry things, and I was training chemistry before, and I would like to put in two different way. But that is just a geeky way. I would like to more refer that Pluto would be the oil or petrol underground. Those
Yes.
oil need to be pumped out or fraction. The very popular things. And we'll hear this word today again and again. And then, but the Neptune will be chemical engineer whole process. We call it they have to like make it the original oil to be light and useful to become those gasoline, and then also those compound can be used in the plastic or scents for clothes. So that they both related to oil,
Yeah.
but in like a upper
In
stream
different
or
levels.
yeah,
Yeah.
upper stream or lower stream. I would more consider the Pluto would be like a production of oil, like in Iraq or in the Persian Gulf, or in even Canada or in Australia, get things out. But the whole process to make oil useful, and that would be chemical. That would be Neptune.
And
That's
distribute it everywhere.
yeah.
Neptune, yeah.
How I read it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, I mean, the other thing that I think of with those two, of course, Pluto is the power and the money and the wealth behind it all, isn't it?
I think that's where I agree, Jules, because I think Neptune, if you think of what oil is, it's the residue from ancient oceans, right? It's
Yes,
actually
Yeah,
sea.
yeah, from
yes.
fish.
And when the first oil well was drilled, Drake's oil well, it was like 10
Yeah,
years
that's
after
exactly the
Neptune was
point.
discovered.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it took the business away from the whaling industry, which is again that sea ocean link. So I think it is maybe you could say that both planets have a role there in some way, because I think the money
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
exploitation power that affords,
Yeah,
that feels quite
absolutely.
Pluto to me as well.
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
actually we are inside a very large cycle, I think, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, but Neptune and Pluto will form a trine aspect around 2000, maybe 80 or 80 to 83. So until 80, 2080, we are in a transition phase, I think, in a way. So, the world is
Mm,
gradually moving away from oil and shifting toward different energy systems, right? And of course, this kind of transition naturally creates crisis, but it also brings development, I think. And with Saturn and Neptune moving through the last degrees of Pisces last year, and this clearly reflected the uncertainties in oil and energy markets. At the same
mm,
time, the North Node and Pisces pushed people to try to understand and navigate these systems. So, for example, I recently read, Japan. So, the world is gradually moving away. The Japan, there are, developments in producing, bags, shopping bags from plant-based materials. So the world is slowly trying to change or escape the direction of oil usage, right? So, but
mm.
maybe we will only see a complete transformation in 2080s or 90s when the time trine becomes active. But because right now these sextile aspects are not enough on their own, I think, because a sextile requires effort and intention. If you act, if it works. If you don't, it doesn't. But the trine
Mm,
works
mm.
differently, even if you don't do anything, so the flow still happens. So we are going through a major transition period, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
and it seems that we are currently experiencing the more difficult phase of this transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe the maybe the bigger crisis of between those two is when they'll square each other,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Before the
Hmm.
trine, then we have, everything maybe moving together or moving forward much more. But, the square before that at some point, 2060 maybe. Haven't looked 2050, I'm not sure. Somewhere in there. We know
60,
somewhere in
I think.
between now and 2080. Yeah, interesting. Well, let's move this on. Now, what's going
And
on?
also, Mars in Cancer, if you look at my own country, Turkey, Mars in Cancer energy is very clearly, I don't know how can I say, but we can clearly see how intense this situation has been geographically, because Turkey is surrounded by multiple crisis zones, and it is
You're right.
trying to maintain a very sensitive position in between. And it's not an easy situation. And astrologically, because Turkey's ascendant sign, ascendant sign is Cancer. So Mars in Cancer directly activates the first house of our country, and this brings the issue, migration, migrants, and people escaping war, seek refugee, this brings migration policies back to the center of national agenda. And also, it's very delicate topic, but I don't know, but I want to be careful here. I don't want to give any misleading information or appear biased, right? So I will try to express this as naturally as possible. Please don't misunderstand. But for example, if in the events in Iran, when there were developments regarding the government, and we saw that some Iranian citizens actually welcomed this with relief or even celebration, right? Some people openly expressed support for a change in leadership. So there's also this dimension, I think, because this reflects the Mars in Cancer energy very clearly, extensional, or external tension translating into internal division. On the other hand, border security and migration movements were also major parts of this picture. I think in many countries, migration became a central issues. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe we
definitely.
also.
While we
Yeah.
are on these slides, do you mind I point out a few things on
Well, yeah, just
Ingress? Yeah,
before we move on, the 2025, the ACG map, I didn't
yeah,
realize, but the Mars was right through Tehran, and we saw
yeah,
Neptune,
Yeah,
Sun, all of that Aries stellium, Aries and Pisces stellium was right through, over Iran. Mercury, interestingly, right near the Strait of Hormuz, and also, Mars right through there. So it's
yeah,
amazing that we finished this year with, those two just kind of overlapping. And then, we all, I think, recognize the geodetic map that Uranus was over Tehran as well. And then
yeah,
the incredible thing at the eclipse when Mars and Uranus met over Tehran, just, right at the time of the bombing or just before. So, yeah, incredible stuff, really, isn't it? When we
yeah,
see it
and
like this.
also. Yeah, and also when I mentioned Madagascar, have you look at this? Like, it's also near that area
Oh,
in the
yeah.
lower. But yeah, Madagascar. And one thing striking me is about Spain. Early this year, in January, still counting as under the influence of the Aries Ingress 2025, in South Spain, around the Andalusian area and the South Portugal, has terrible, terrible rainfall that rained the whole year's rain in 3 days, and that
Right.
caused the flooding and many people's life. That I know, compared with what happened in Iran, compared what happened in Ukraine, this is small, tiny, but that was quite shocking. 3 days rain. Aries Ingress, we have a Mars autobahn, Moon autobahn,
Yeah.
Mars
And there's the
in.
moon right through there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the lunar standstill. That is all indicated with all these things. And 3 days rain equal 1 year's rainfall in South Spain. That was huge. And you can see the Pluto. Saturn, Neptune is near this area. Have you seen the border of the Portugal and the Spain's area? Yeah, yeah. In the geodetic, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Right
then you,
there. Yes.
yes, and then I think the ACG map has Pluto and Sun Moon midpoint.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, right on that
Yeah.
area. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, wow.
Crossed by
Even
Uranus. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, anyway, I mean, it's worth looking at things in
Oh,
hindsight.
definitely,
That's where we learn a lot as well, don't we? So next time
definitely.
we see it, we go, oh, okay, let's look a bit closer, right? So here's the two of them together, but we're going to concentrate now on the 2026 ingress. But again, the things that sort of are similar are the stelliums, Aries and Pisces. Mercury this time, I mean, last time was retrograde, this time it's stationing direct, right? I mean, the bombing of Iran started with Mercury stationing, retrograde. And the
Mhm.
world's changed. Like I often sort of like to say, worlds change when Mercury's retrograde in Pisces. So in these 3 weeks, um, what do you think about it shifting gear as Mercury stations direct now?
I
Do
think
we
that's a kind of,
anticipate?
I think it's a kind of build-up, isn't it, when it goes direct? Because it won't come out of its shadow and ingress into Aries until I think it's around the 9th of April. And that
Mhm.
is just shortly before the Mars-Saturn conjunction. So I think Mercury retrograde since the 26th of February, the war started on the 28th. So I think Mercury in Pisces is really, you can see, for example, the difficulty that the Trump administration has had in articulating its aims and its goals with this war. I mean, it's lies, damn lies, and statistics. It's really
Yeah,
difficult to know where the truth lies in this jumbled
yeah,
language that's coming out of Washington. So the whole of that, the start of this war, going right up until really Mercury goes over the Aries point, that whole period is just, kind of tied into this Mercury, in detriment, moving through Pisces, and this complete utter chaos that seems to be coming out of the White House. That's what I think.
yeah, for sure.
Actually,
Let me just
actually,
go to
I don't.
that whole
Oops.
whole
Uh,
chart there then.
uh,
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that, but both Julia and Rhodes have Mercury in Pisces, so maybe you should speak more about this.
I
You
mean,
know,
we're talking here, obviously, not on the level of individuals, because like Mercury in Pisces, for example, is very quick-witted and can think, hit the ground running. And it's also, you find it very often in the horoscopes of comedians, so there's a good sense of humor. So there's a difference, I think, between the individual and, for example, here, the statements being made from a government. It's a different level of manifestation of Mercury. And I think, it's very clear to everyone that, sometimes astrology can be extremely picturesque in how it actually represents what's going on. And clearly, this Mercury in Pisces, if you think of it purely in terms of how arguments are articulated, how things are said, they are having a really hard time putting together a coherent kind of message here. So I think there is
Mhm.
you have to
Yeah.
distinguish between
Yeah.
what's, a nation's chart and mundane chart. It's a higher level in a way of planets working through. But I think you can clearly see it personally, the difficulty that the government there is having, and Trump particularly. I mean, he's just seems to be a geriatric at the moment. I mean, goodness knows what's going to
I,
come out.
I agree with Liz that that kind of Mercury in Pisces play in the kind of information, especially it's quite interesting. You mentioned about the that we kind of reacting with witty things, but that is very interesting. Things is like we will heard about the people getting tired. People getting tired with all this information. Oh, so since 2000, since 2020, we have things one after another. So it's like a pandemic, Ukraine war, and the inflation, and this and that.
Yeah.
And now we have
Yeah.
these people, which is like, what, we fed up. We just don't want to listen. We crawl back, to our hibernate under the duvet, watching Netflix or watching TikTok or watching some so-called sort of a short theory. I believe me, I never did that. I watched whole series of short series last night. I couldn't go to bed. I was just like, oh my God, it's so soothing. I forget everything. I forget oil price. I forget stock market price. I even forget what I have to do. But that really just like that. That is a Neptunian Piscean effect that it makes people stare at the things that is going to make them forget. It's like opium, make them forget things. So in that level, I'm a bit concerned about this Mercury stationary at 8 degrees stationary, focus on something with North Node everyone, mass people
Yeah,
is
yeah.
going to just dive into TikTok or those entertainment that make them forget how horrible the world is. So, I mean, if you're a businessman, to be honest, or if we are astrologer, we don't want to take things seriously. To be honest, Kenan, we should start to run a astro drama, small astro drama, and they will
Yeah.
follow us. They will really follow us, and they just like don't talk about politics. Just talk
Yeah.
about light stuff, and the people just like, oh yeah, that's fine. So that Mercury wants us to pay attention.
Yeah. It's a big
100%
player
agree
for
with
sure.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Do we
Because I
have?
don't, oh, sorry.
No, I was
But
just wondering if we had the Ingress for Tehran.
Yes, I've got
yeah,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, do I? Oh well, I've got the maps which we can see closer anyway.
Yeah,
Let's
but I
just
just want to add something because if you want, because
Yes.
handmade craft, I think Mercury in Pisces, because I don't interpret Mercury stationary and not as entirely negative. I don't know what you think, but of course Mercury in Pisces can be challenging. But I think this can also evolve into something positive in different ways. For example, I associate Mercury with handmade products or craftsmanship or manual creation right now because everything has shifted towards artificial intelligence. So I think this stationary position can actually bring more attention back to handcrafted and original work, maybe. Yes, there is confusion here because the confusion comes from the facts there is also a mutual reception between Mars and Venus in this chart. So Mercury is naturally part of the dynamic as well. And if we interpret all of these together, and we can say that the new system of making money has already started, as Rod mentioned. That's because people are now earning money very quickly through AI dramas and through content generated online. Images, videos, and digital production. This is already happening. For example, I'm an astrologer teacher, but there are people earning 5 or even 10 times more than what I earn from teaching. And what are they doing? So they sit down every day and generate content through AI and upload it to YouTube or TikTok or other social media platforms and repeat this process continuously. So these videos get views, generate income. So essentially, we can say passive income. And of course, information pollution on the other hand, but maybe I can add something more: health systems and pilot applications, maybe we can say, because Mercury stationary can it can push people to recognize the situation and move towards something more original and authentic. Because when a planet becomes stationary, it is, like saying, everyone stop, be quiet. I will speak now, right? So Mercury stationary here wants to express itself very strongly. So that could mean, I think, artistic work and handmade creation and authentic production, maybe. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's a good sign to, let people kind of be inspired that, this
Mm.
kind of a new kind of way to look at things. But what comes to mind for me is the free speech, the ban on people to speak up, especially
Mm-hmm.
in America, like we will no longer let you say this and publish this, or, a lot of those things happening in so many ways. And then also idealizing the war, like I've got some where did I put it? Let me just, yeah, like these kind of screen grabs from the internet, in the sense that the war is even has a logo,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
that the war has a logo, and that there's a lot of comments being made how, if there's a, footage of a bomb, blowing up or whatever, it's stylized, it's highly stylized and made more cinematic to look like, wow.
Mm,
And then also we don't really know what is real. And this is a
mhm,
really big concern. Like, we have a war being memeified. We have a war being, I mean, it's not the first time, we've kind of witnessed war online. But the more and more that it's happening, the more we don't know what is true. Like, Netanyahu was, supposed to be killed, and, there's images of him with six fingers and, all that kind of stuff. So, what are we looking at? I mean, I think that's a real Mercury Pisces, like
yeah, I agree.
the delusion that we're all in.
Can I
Yeah,
make a comment that maybe pulls in a bit what Kenan was saying there as well? Because if you do the ingress for Iran, interestingly enough, the ascendant is 0 degrees Libra.
Libra,
So
yeah.
you've got 0 degrees plus on the descendant, and
mhm,
obviously
Now,
0
if I go to
degrees
the map,
Cancer.
oh, hang on, the map
The point
will
I wanted to make
show.
is that
Yeah, yeah.
Mercury is in the sixth house and it's stationing on the north node in the sixth house. And you've got Mars in the sixth house trine Jupiter, which replicates their natal Mars Jupiter, because they have Mars in Pisces trine Jupiter. And to get back to that simple thing that, the things being more simple, I think what's interesting about this war is it's David and Goliath, really. I mean, America is obviously so much more powerful. But the
mhm,
way Iran is conducting this war, I'm thinking of like with Mercury and Pisces station, it's all these drones that they're using, which are really, really cheap. And they've been planning this for so long, and they've got thousands, and God knows how many they have. But the interceptors that the US are using are really, really expensive, and they've got a shortage of them. So they're calling on countries like Ukraine to help out and stuff. But it's the simplicity of, in some ways, the kind of techniques that Iran is using. But really, it's like a wasp. It's like bees. It's like, it's small, but it's really effective, which is why I think Trump, because this is also a very watery sixth house, if you look at Iran. So if you look at somewhere like the Strait of Hormuz, this Mars in Pisces, it's a water battle. It's a battle for a little bit of water there, but it's being done
mhm,
in such a way that it is really throwing this mega power of the US into disarray in many levels. But it's fighting quite a simple war in a sense, because it doesn't have the means, to do anything beyond that. But I find that in itself really fascinating, how all that technology, what Iran is putting in, is in comparison, like I said, it's David and Goliath, but hugely effective, as we can see.
Mm-mm. And targeting the US bases, not,
Yeah,
civilians and stuff, which is a
yeah,
big difference, isn't it?
yeah. Because I think
Um,
you were saying like one speedboat, coming across the Straits of Hormuz, for example, with a suicide bomber in it. If that's why they don't want to sail through that strait, because one person, if they hit an American, one of these big American ships, the loss of face would be huge. So that's why Trump is saying to everybody else, in typical Trump, don't be a pussy, get over your brick, yeah, get your ship shot at,
yeah,
but
sure, that's
we're
right.
going to keep ours safe. So it's kind of interesting how simple the war is from the view of Iran. I think the only way they can fight it is the way they're doing it. But it's
Mm. Isn't it amazing? Like, again, for those looking online, you can blow this up or something, but Saturn goes right through the strait.
yeah,
Saturn in Aries, Saturn, the blockage, like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
is
indeed.
exactly there. This is
yeah.
the ACG map. I mean, what? You know? And then the ships are all stuck where Neptune is behind it.
Perfect,
Um, just
perfect astrology.
incredible.
Perfect
We'll
astrology.
we'll look at that. We'll look at that a bit more. But yeah, I mean, just those images as well. It's so Saturn and Neptune in Aries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blockage, the blowing up, the images we're seeing. The hulls of ships burnt out. I mean, gosh.
The
It's
new
Yeah.
age of
incredible.
warfare, isn't it? Saturn conjunct Neptune. We're seeing a new age of warfare.
Yeah, yeah.
AI is being used. And there again, Saturn in Aries, we're seeing a lack of accountability. I mean, what is the software? What are the targets? I mean, the way the targeting is done, I mean, it's really scary because, you put in the parameters and you can get a list of 4,000 targets, which are based on, maybe your social network and your different, it's really quite random who's controlling the controllers, right? Which is Pluto and
Mm,
this, isn't it? Who's checking this? Who's got an eye on the ball here? Who's saying, I don't think Trump is. I don't think he's got the attention span to handle that. But it does bring in that whole new age of warfare and a lack of accountability in it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's just go and do it and see what happens kind of thing. There's
Yeah, yeah,
no big plan. Yeah, right. But I mean, we were surprised, but we weren't surprised to now kind of look at this global energy crisis when with Saturn and Neptune, moving into Aries and this Aries ingress. Um, again, a war on oil, Neptune, Pluto, whatever, war on drugs, which we've seen, coming into this in Mexico and Venezuela before that. And now I think it's Ecuador being targeted or something as well. And then those references to the holy war, that this is now, meant to be as some holy divine sort of providence, I mean, just incredible. Um, yeah, the media threats, retrograde Pisces, the propaganda again. What is believed by so many is just incredible to watch. Like, I mean, I'm just stunned when it's making me really just not want to be on social media, because of just what you see, which is just so making me angry. What
yeah.
about you guys? How are you guys coping with, I mean, let's just brush it off. Okay, that's more bullshit. That's, obviously fake.
I think
I
it's
mean, what do we
yeah.
do?
Yeah, it seems like a hidden dynamics, I think, because, this is where Mars in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, and
Yeah,
North
yeah.
in
The
Pisces
hidden.
become very significant because, we're entering this chart while Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, is in Cancer and where it is exalted. So Mars, as a night planet, is also in a water sign when supports its expressions in different ways. So I don't necessarily think this will function in a purely negative way. Rather, it suggests, I think, a kind of invisible struggle. But this invisible struggle may manifest through civil organizations, associations, maybe, and collective efforts. Just
Hmm.
thinking about, North Node and South Node shifting, and also, Leo and Aquarius. So we will also see hidden operations behind the scenes process and unclear situations I think, becoming more visible because, I see Aries in a way, Mars in Pisces. Maybe I can say that Mars as a kind of pawn, like in chess, the pawns are the ones you move first, right? The ones you
The
put
little
forward.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The ones you're
Protect the
willing to
king.
sacrifice. Yeah, yeah. And or think about Aries in battlefield. So the one who goes first. So I think sacrifice consciousness within it. So I don't know if we fully recognize that, but Mars in Pisces, naturally uncertainty and importance happening
There's a
behind the
lot of
scenes.
levels to it. There's a lot of levels,
Yeah.
like Pisces anyway, isn't it? Like this, it's not as clear cut as Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It's a
only
lot more.
countries, not only countries, Julia, but maybe we can also think about companies. A company has a visible executive, maybe a representative figure, right? But behind that person, there's always a team, right?
The people,
So
yeah.
that team is actually what matters most. So the person in front may not be very permanent. So this team can replace that person and put someone else in their position, because Aries as a pawn, right? we may see rapid changes in leadership. I think these during these times.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't.
there's a few indicators of that, isn't there? Again, looking at the Aries ingress from beforehand, we knew it was about leadership as well, or Neptune
Yeah,
and Saturn
yeah,
into
Yeah,
Aries.
yeah.
We knew that that was, a significant sort of signal. Oh, okay, the leaders, focus on them. Anyway, we looked at that. And then, well, again, as you're talking about the Pisces, those who pay for what's going on, those who are
Mm,
most affected. The elites aren't going to be affected. It's not going to bother them. Do you know what I mean? The rising cost of
yeah.
living, and all that kind of stuff. We just had our interest rates put up so quickly again today, The cost of living is already intense and has been since COVID and rising every year. And now we
Mm,
just think, what, another great excuse
yeah.
for
I want to
more cost?
Yeah, I want to echo this with what you ask us, how we cope it together with this Neptune moving to Aries. With what you say, I 100% agree. Well, it's the pricing going up, and then as financial astrologer, Christine, I, and maybe Olga already mentioned about that. Is a possibility when the outer planet, especially Neptune, moving to Aries. But there also the chaotic things is going to be the chaotic action. The action is like unpredictable with the Neptunian, like either go this way or either go that way, or ambiguous. We are not sure. And when would be the price going up mostly is when we are not sure. When there is uncertainty, the price goes sky high, like you mentioned about the energy price, especially
Yeah.
at this moment. That would be interesting things to understand. Like in one label, you're talking about elite, and yes, from long time, maybe some like economists already warned those tech origami they about their action. At this moment, they just accelerated by AI. Look how many people Meta just get rid of. And then big companies start to get rid of people because AI can do
It's
everything now. We
taking,
don't
yeah,
need the
yeah.
people, and so people say they forget that the paying the salary to the people is these elite, these super rich are paying the tax of avoid to go to guillotine, like what Marie Antoinette facing before. These
Yeah.
they forget that, and they just isolated the get rid of people. We don't care about you. We can afford electric bill,
We
but
can
you can. That's your things.
afford it,
I
yeah.
can afford the huge 100-bedroom villa in Santa Monica, and you sleep in your car and has no tomorrow. That's all right. We just wait. They just isolated. Just give a few months. Just give few months. Or few years. Then you will see the revolution in United States. And don't think that's impossible. I think they just isolated it and make it happen very quickly. As we know, the great mutation in the air sign is revolution period. It's a
Yeah.
revolution time. And then with all these sun going to conjunct Neptune for the next couple of years. And then I want to mention it now is the fixed star Skiat is another like a chaotic stars. And we are going to have a sun conjunct Skiat for next 100 years. I mean, with 1 degree off, because at this moment Skia is at 2944. For it totally for this Skia totally move out of the 1 degree Aries, need another 100 year. You will see.
Well, there's a new moon, what, in 2 days, in Pisces on Shias,
Yes,
isn't there?
yes,
And look,
yes, yes,
Australia
indeed.
hasn't stopped flooding.
Yeah,
Australia,
and you
Northern
can see that's
Australia.
quite interesting. That is very interesting. Skiers effect for next 100 years. When we just approaching it, we are just approaching. We are not living. We just approaching, and there will be a exact 0 degree Aries of skier at
Right,
2044,
right.
2044,
Wow.
and we're
Yeah.
going to see it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, wow. Oh, good point. Anyway, all the people involved is all these Pisces that, are going to sort of pay for the for the sins. Now, Liz, I picked up your article that you posted again the other day that you wrote for Time Lords because I loved what some of the things you said. I mean, this is writing back in August last year or even March last year, wasn't it?
I
Just
think it was
picking out a
August.
few things
Yeah.
about the Neptune into Aries. Ingress. Maybe you just want to say something about this because, it's so relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, sometimes you write something and you look at it and you think, because it came up on my sort of memories, Facebook memories. I
Yeah.
thought, let's have a look. I thought, hey, that's pretty good. So I shared it. I thought I picked up some good points there. Yeah, yeah. It's always nice when you feel that that you felt something, coming
Yeah.
through. Because
Yeah.
it's quite difficult with so many things to take into account, isn't it, to get the right note. But I thought it was, yeah, clearly Saturn Neptune has a really strong resonance with the Middle East because I mentioned a few in the article, like the Balfour Agreements. Uh, and what I hadn't realized is the last Saturn Neptune, or was it one in 52? That was when the Americans and the British overthrew the democratically elected government in Iran and put in the Shah, the
Yeah.
Shah returned. And that created the whole revolution there, the Islamic revolution. And then the one in 89, that was the death of the first Khomeini.
Sure. Yeah.
Now under this one, we've seen the death of the father, and then now the son is in the position. So there's clearly a Saturn Neptune resonance for whatever reason with that area. And it's
Mm.
back. I haven't gone further back, but it's certainly from the 20th century. It has been playing out there quite strongly. It's one of the areas, and there's others, of course, like Russia, which is suddenly profiting from, the fact that it has oil reserves. The UK resonates very strongly with Saturn Neptune. We changed the name of the royal family during the First World War under a Saturn Neptune because it was some German name that we
Oh,
had.
oh, yeah, right.
I
Ah,
forget what it was called now, but it was Churchill came up with the Windsors. And of course, we've
yeah.
seen the whole Andrew thing enacting in
Mm.
the UK the last month. So there's certain areas that seem to really resonate with, but the Middle East,
With this conjunction, yeah.
very powerful. Germany as well, actually. Germany's got a link to Saturn Neptune. I think it's sort of re-emerging. It might start, developing because it has to be a role player in the new Europe, also militarily. So it's interesting to see what happens there. But it's manifesting, I think, as we would have expected, right? Because this is the axis of the world that's being hit here. This is the Aries point. So of course it's going to reverberate globally, and it really is, isn't it? I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
astrology is so spot on.
Everything's affected,
Oh,
and especially now with the energy crisis, that's
yeah,
going to
exactly. That's what I
dribble
mean.
down to everybody. So
And
if you haven't read
AI,
this
yeah,
article, yeah, have a look at Time Lords magazine. It's like everything that's written there is just so relevant. I want to
Mm.
read it out. But let's have a quick look at the maps. So this is the geodetic map, the fixed map that begins at zero Greenwich, zero Aries at Greenwich. So as we can see, Sun, Neptune, Saturn all close by there. Um, Uranus through Iran and straight through the straight through the strait, and that's at the end of Taurus still, of course. And the interesting thing I thought was that, Uranus is heading towards Sedna, and Sedna is also a water, you know, um, an ocean
In
goddess,
mythology,
right?
yeah. In
Um,
mythology, it's associated with abandonment, right? So betrayal and what is
yes,
unseen. So therefore, Sedna can point the invisible operations and hidden process, and also sees, oceans,
yes.
shadow things. Yeah, it's very
You
relative.
know, again, a bit like Neptune, the treasures of the sea as well, in a, kind of
Mm,
different, maybe, I'm not quite sure, but it's certainly there. What we see through Australia is where there's another cyclone coming, and this whole area up here in Queensland is flooded.
Mm.
It continues to be so, and actually just hasn't stopped raining there. So that's intense. It's hard to look at everything at the, on these maps. You'd have to do your own studies and stuff, but anyone can pick out anything that you want to talk about. I mean, we've got Venus going right through Cuba. And what is Trump talking about now? I mean,
yeah.
Cuba has an energy crisis, and Trump just says, "We'll have it. Thank you very much."
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
well,
Great
I
point.
think we'll
Yeah.
just have it. It's ours. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ooh, to hear these things happening all the time. We have the Node and Mars going through where the drug lord, the big guy was, killed not long ago. So
Yeah,
Aries,
Jalisco,
sorry,
in
yeah,
Jalisco area. Yeah, that
yes,
is kind of a Mars, right past
yeah,
beneath the Mexico City,
yes.
that area. Yes.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And I mean, again, we can look at so many other things, but what I wanted to point out, like, we don't really see anything going through Israel, right, as the perpetrator of a lot of this as well. But we have Ceres moving towards there, and this is the thing with geodetic maps, we kind of envision how things will actually move
Mm.
across in time. But what we do know is that Israel is a 5 degree MC of Taurus, right?
Mhm.
And what's being squared by, a 5 degrees of Taurus now? Pluto,
Yeah, that's
right?
great.
So we don't see it on the map, but we know if we're
Mm.
looking at a coordinate, we've got a degree, we know that Pluto's squaring that area. And then the other crazy thing that I noted somewhere else the other week was Epstein Island is 2 degrees Taurus ascending.
Oh dear.
All right, so Pluto has actually been squaring Epstein Island for the last year or so as well, right? So this is, right here. And I mean, it's interesting how, well, the Epstein files haven't gone away, but they haven't been the focus anymore, have they? Right?
We know why.
Um,
Can I bring
sorry?
in something about that 5 degree point? Because you just mentioned Cuba. The North Node of the US is at 6 degrees 35 Leo. And
Right. There you go. Okay.
Michael Harding did a really interesting piece of work on that involvement of that North Node in sort of naval things in the US. So Jupiter crossing the North Node was actually Jupiter was at five. Jupiter was in Leo and crossing the North Node at the time of the Bay of Pigs.
Uh-huh. Oh,
The
wow.
blockade of
Right.
Cuba started with Mars at 5 degrees for Leo. So that Leo, that the prominence of planets and midheavens, etc., around there is interesting. It's
Mm.
Mm.
And then, of course, Ceres is there too. Now, relating to Epstein Island, that's, abducted daughters. So
Yeah,
relevant.
yeah.
Ceres, again, also for, poverty, lack of food, lack of supplies, all that kind of stuff. So coming in through here. So, I mean, these maps are just so fascinating. But Liz, we will look at that grand sort of sextile that it does involve Pluto, the 5 degrees of
yeah,
Jupiter at Leo triggering everything. I've got the
Yeah.
chart for that. And with geodetic maps, if you know where the 5 degree coordinates of fixed are, then it's
Yeah.
everywhere. It's not just where it's showing up. Do you know what I mean? It's all those pockets wherever 5 degrees of fixed happens to be. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
just
just starting
super.
to get into the geodetic. I think you've pulled me in there. You've been posting quite a lot of stuff on it the last year.
Oh, I've been fascinated by it for a few years, and it has gained, let's say, popularity. But I don't know. Just when I got, I learnt about it, and then I went, oh my God! And then, well, it's about following it and go, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
there it is, you know.
Really, it's kind of quick and easy in a way, but
Yeah,
very
yeah.
pertinent to things.
Yeah, but you also have to look for, again, the hidden things like those squares and all that kind of stuff, like you would at, with ACG maps and stuff. There's certain things you can't use with it, or that I don't. But anyway, more to come on that. I think Kenan and I were talking about starting a channel on it because
Oh,
Yeah,
weekly
yeah.
update because it is so relevant watching the moon move through many things. So this is the ACG map again, hard to highlight everything. And as we were looking before, Saturn and Neptune right through the strait there in Iran where all the action is happening. All this area, as I said, Australia is flooding in the northern northeast, and a big cyclone coming again. What else can we see? We can see Uranus and Sedna going through this area here. Anyone want to comment? You've probably looked at this map a
Uh,
few times.
Yeah, I would like to invite your attention to Asia, East Asia, and you will
Yeah.
see the Korea first. That's true. Let's see Korea. This is a hot spot, because at this moment, well, East Asia is quiet as is far away from the war zone. But like I wrote on the my post a couple days ago, and then yes, the my Brazilian friends say, yeah, look, the China, they are quiet at this moment. They're very, very nice and this and that. And I was like, just wait, because they are waiting for the US was trapped into the both sides, in Latin America and also in the stream. So Persian Gulf. So what I read yesterday was they are quietly move it because not only North Korea shooting their missile near the Japanese Sea area, but also China is like using their fishing ship formation, like a hundred fishing ship move toward to east toward to Japan, and then quietly action doing it. And you can see this area is tension like a Julia, you already, mark it out. And you will notice that Mars line in the ACG map has Pyongyang and Seoul.
Yeah,
So,
right.
these North Korea and South Korea is one thing very silent, and then Taiwan and China, because they say, oh, they are very nice. They should take over Taiwan at this moment because everyone's busy. You say, yeah, they
Everyone's
will.
busy. Yeah.
They will. They will. They're just waiting for US because now US already
Wow.
moved the military from Okinawa and Yokohama to the Iran. So they are reduced the defense area here, and you can see the tension here, and you can see I think the Pluto go past the stream, right? The Pluto descent line go past the here this area.
Oh, this down
I mean,
here.
yeah.
That's
Uh,
Pluto,
just
and that's
yeah,
Pluto.
and then like Uranus line is goes through the China,
Yes,
that
Uranus just below Beijing. Yeah,
and
crossing
then
over.
when you move down along that line, that would be the Taiwan area. So you
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
that is the next next things waiting to be explored or to be
Mm.
focused on, and that could that could be something.
Yeah, just
Well,
think
anyway,
about
these
the
these maps are.
geodetically.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Kina. No, no, go,
sorry,
go.
just think about it geodetically. The sector is Leo, I think. You know, when Jupiter moves
Oh,
into
yes, let's go
Leo,
back to that. Yes,
yeah, this
Leo
time,
area. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
we
that
will,
area is like a Japan from. It's very
yeah,
interesting. It is very interesting. The I find it like you guys say it's a geodetic that line is very interesting because the East Taiwan is Leo, but the West Taiwan is Cancer, and that is funny.
wow.
Yeah. And so yeah, we're focus shifts. Yes, very interesting. Anyway, these maps, keep looking at them because they stay alive, don't they,
Yeah.
for the year, and then also, show us more, of course, all the time.
I
So
think
we
we will
looked at
start,
this.
yeah,
Sorry?
yeah, we will start to observe different kinds of developments. I think the
Yeah,
shifting of,
yeah.
the Jupiter, I think we need
Again,
to,
we'd
observe the
be here
Jupiter
for
part.
hours if we scanned the whole world
Yeah.
and talked about everything and had an agent on every corner
Yeah.
saying what was going on. That would take a
Wow.
long time. But anyway, but the next Mars cycle, or the cycle that was, let's say, birthed in January, it's really interesting to look at it because this ingress is Mars has just come to light in the morning sky, right? It's just kind of
Mm,
become visible. Oh, hang on, what does it say here? It says March the 16th, so today or yesterday.
yeah.
But again, depends where you are, depends where you see it. But let's just say it's just come to light for this ingress. So this next Mars cycle, is really quite significant, especially when we look at now uh, we know that the Mars cycle was birthed with Venus conjunct as well, right? And the Venus star
Hmm.
point and so on. And I did the study that it was the closest, Mars Venus conjunction to the Sun in this Capricorn kind of cycle. And it had a lot to do with nuclear power. But when we look at this Mars cycle, like it was birthed with Venus. And, traditionally we'd kind of think, oh, Venus will temper things or what have you, but we've seen it much more like, who owns what's mine, I want what you've got, I mean, that's very Venus, isn't it? Like it's
Mm.
adding to this power of what's happening. But then let's see the opposition, the peak of the retrograde that's coming is zero Virgo when we talk
Mhm.
about leadership, right? And we talk
And also
about,
retrograde,
and yeah,
and
yeah,
also
that's right.
retrograde in Virgo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the retrograde opposition, yeah.
Mm.
And then the cycle ends and begins at 1 Aries again.
Mm.
So it's quite a cycle of Mars this time. So, with all this stellium of planets in Aries for the ingress, keeping an eye on Mars is really, really important, right? So, anything anyone wants to add about that
Yeah, just that Mars is, of course, this year direct the whole year. So it does have that quality.
until
Yeah.
January or something? Yeah.
So it's like full steam ahead, isn't it? And yeah, that was quite a rare, wasn't it? It was the triple conjunction we had there: Sun, Venus, Venus, Mars, and Sun, Mars, right? Which
Yeah.
doesn't
Hmm.
happen every 5 to 7 years, I think. But the last time it happened in Capricorn, I should have looked that up, but it'd be interesting to see how that
It
manifests.
happened a few times in Capricorn, but not with Venus,
Okay.
not all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
The conjunctions in Capricorn, which happen every 32 years, oh, sorry, with Venus every 32 years. So,
I found a triple conjunction like that in Aries, which I quickly searched, and that was when Isis was born. Interesting.
18 or something, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Was it 18 or no, earlier?
2013. It was 2013.
13. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mars and Venus, and yeah, so that I thought the birth of Isis, with if you think of this female goddess, I think that's shows that
Hmm.
link that Venus had with warfare, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then the other interesting thing is, as of course, Mars has just risen and it's risen in Pisces. So a lot of what we call shamanic astrologers will look at the rising significance, where it rose being more important than, its conjunction with the sun that sort of seeded the cycle. So everything that we've said about Mars in Pisces is still, it rules over this next 2 years of the Mars cycle, right?
I mean,
So,
before that, and my first astrology teacher, he'd gone back a long time. He was an American guy, but he used the term practical director for the planet that rises before
okay.
the sun. And I know that Hellenistic astrologers also have a term for it, but I don't know what it is, but he called it the practical director. And
It's not Dorifori, is it?
it could be, yeah, the spear bearer, the spear bearer.
Yes,
Maybe,
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
Yeah. So it gives me,
Although, if we look at the Aries Ingress chart, what's right? Yeah, it is the rising one
yeah,
because
yeah. So
Hmm.
it kind of
Yeah.
Alice. Yes,
it
yes,
lifts Mars, the power of
yeah,
Mars, and it's a particular type of Mars, Mars in Pisces. I always
yeah,
think of
yeah,
Mars
yeah.
in Pisces like, don't put boots on the ground because you will get bogged down in there, It has that sort of feeling to
Yeah,
it.
right, right, right.
Let
Oh
me
my
let me add
gosh.
it one thing. Quickly add it one thing in echo
Yes.
of we mentioned about the Mars. Is the in the Aries English chart, Mars degree is very close to the fixed star Arcana. Arcana is in the Eridanus, the constellation Eridanus, the falling river.
Oh.
The in the mythology they're talking about the phaeton falling from the sky. So it would be related to things more like the four sudden change. Benedict Brady mentioned about it related to the environmental sudden change and cause the
Mm.
disruption. So this was us to pay attention. Like we already noticed with the Mars cycle, this year's Mars cycle is pretty, dominated and pretty interesting. So we should pay a tiny bit attention with this Mars position in the Aries Ingress, and especially align with that sudden change fixed star, and that will be better. Yeah.
Thanks, Rod. Yeah. And look, just can't say all of that about Mars without Venus.
Yes.
The Venus cycle that also was seeded in January. Um, the cycle that we are in of the 19-month cycle of Venus that we are in also began in Aries, right? And she rose in Pisces as the morning star. So here we have another sort of overlap of a very similar thing. And then the Capricorn star point, the outer conjunction, as was Mars, but Mars seeds his cycle there, whereas Venus was mid-cycle. So they kind of crossed over and became morning star and evening star, doing the opposite thing, which is so interesting. And then as the cycle ends for Venus in October this year, it's the Venus Scorpio star point, which is at 0 Scorpio. It's the last star point in Scorpio that we will have in our lifetime. And it is the USA's what we call VSP, the star point of the USA that the 1776 chart was born into. So that's highly significant. As you know, we know the USA is going through, or just had their Pluto return, Chiron return, nodal return coming up. This is
Uranus
another kind
return,
of big return. Sorry.
Uranus return.
Uranus
Oh
return.
yes.
Don't forget that one.
There's also the Venus return, right? Um, and I've noted this a few times, but it's worth just saying again that what we can see if we follow the deacons in the middle, and these are the Ptolemaic, I think, yes, is all the Venus star points are currently in Mars decans, all of them,
Ah.
right? And the first one to move out will be the one in 2027, when the Leo star point moves back into the Jupiter zone. And then, the others sort of follow suit. We go into Jupiter after this, but it's still another sort of 8 years away in a sense. And then the other thing is that the Aries star point, which we had 2025, in 2029, it will cross again the 0 point of Aries. So, we look at all these things, nothing's really over yet, or we can't even say, it's just kind of we're moving through something that is the really big reset Do you know what I mean? There's more of the reset going on. It's not just what we've had. How do you feel about that with every, again, Uranus moving into Gemini? I mean, here are the things that we've kind of got coming up more in the year as well.
I think Uranus, in Gemini. I don't know, but Uranus is in Taurus. It's actually very significant because we are already seeing a situation where small and virtual activities can generate a lot of income. What I mean, with
What you were
Uranus.
talking about before, yeah.
Yeah, because with Uranus and Taurus, we are dealing with matter, the body, the tangible reality, because Taurus represents, substance, and Uranus in Taurus has been showing us how much material reality can be virtualized and how much we can transform matter into a form of service or value. But now, as Uranus moves Gemini, I think we will start to see much more visible representations, images, and simulations instead of direct physical presence. Maybe operate through our avatars, digital identities. And there's also another dimension to this, because I would like to mention it carefully because in certain digital platforms, new technologies are already being developed where people create virtual things and, highly personalized ways. What I mean, because they're, still a prototype, but, simulated persons. I don't know how can I say, but in a wider application or practical use, maybe we can see that diversity and multiplicity. For example, since Taurus is also connected to, Taurus Scorpio axis, which includes themes of value, the body, and intimacy, it is not surprising that many issues related to these topics have already become visible in recent years. Okay, but Uranus in Gemini may further expand these themes into new domains and expression or, interaction. Because during Uranus in Taurus, people were directly exposing their physical presence, right? Their body, intimacy. So, but with Uranus in Gemini, they may instead express themselves through, constructed digital identities, maybe,
Yeah,
which
well,
could
through the
have,
AI model, like, I'm not gonna,
yeah, AI model,
I don't have
yes,
to
of
dress
course.
up today. I'll just put Julia the AI on today.
Yeah. I think it's a great
And I could
idea.
just get you all here and just pretend you're here and I'll have your voices and just say, I'm gonna have a meeting and it'll be
Indeed,
cool.
indeed. We are. I was away to in Barbados drinking the cocktail, but I'm
Yeah.
just like setting up all the AI setting, reading what I want to say. That
We
is,
just we just type in things beforehand and then it just does it
yes,
for us.
indeed.
And yeah. I mean that's the reality. If we do it or not, that is, people are doing it already. We know. I mean,
Yeah.
I was watching, as you flick through, the streaming channels to sort of look for the next thing you're gonna watch. And they're advertising this one thing, I can't remember what it's called, but it looks so AI made. It's all AI made, and I'm just not interested in watching things like that.
Mm.
Like I just you can tell because of the quality or this kind of fakeness. You can tell it's real, it looks real enough, but you look closer and you go, oh,
Maybe we can say too good to be true. The
yeah,
skin is
yeah.
perfect, speech is perfect. There is no interruption. There is no grammatically error, and there is no blurb like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, that sound and that the skin was so smooth, and the background is beautiful. Like, yeah, that must be an AI.
But no, the Uranus into Gemini ingress, right, which is on the 26th of April.
Yeah.
I think one of the big themes of it will be was something you picked up on earlier as well, just was about freedom of speech. I think there will be a real sort of kickback on infringements of personal freedom, how our data is being used, because freedom is a big issue, the freedom of mind. I think it was
Yeah.
Darwin's the species is, controversial in its day, challenged a lot of things, but it's part of the landscape of Uranus and Gemini. You have to have that freedom. But the final ingress, which is on the 26th of April, has a Sun-Pluto square. And again, it's
Mm.
around those 5 degrees of the fixed signs.
Mm.
And that's the north node of the US again. So we know a lot of the big tech companies that are sort of like, yeah, doing things we don't know what they're doing. It kind of pulls them into the picture in a way, I think. And that
Yeah.
kickback from people, I think, like people stepping away from social media, stepping away from, mobile phones that track. That's all part of a desire, I think, to actually be free of it, to experience freedom of mind, peace of mind. Yeah, because it is, I think I think it was you, Rod, said earlier, that barrage of information, that's like a sea, that's
Mm.
tsunami of information. It is actually exhausting on a certain level, because if you try to
Yeah.
keep up with everything, you're going to be like a dog chasing its own tail, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Yeah.
overload.
Very interesting as Liz mentioned about this. And then if you look at that chart on the 25th of April, that Uranus is kind of a square the moon at 29-degree Leo. And then in Washington, the MC is a 27 of a Leo.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Let's go back to eclipse, 28-degree Aquarius, and that go to Trump, 29-degree Leo ascendant, 26-degree Leo of Mars,
Yeah.
and then so these are all related together. These Uranus move in general, at least the beginning in United States, you will see people are kind of, yeah, they could get power back with this kind of so-called get power back on their social media, rather than being controlled by Meta and
There's some
whatever TikTok.
breakthrough. There'll
Yeah,
be some
should be.
breakthrough that will go through, be able to break whatever
Yeah,
barriers have been tried to, be put up or something.
definitely,
Bit of a
definitely.
twist on Trump's take back control, isn't it?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
Organs.
Some people will continue to, want to stay in the spotlight and
yes,
will
yes,
risk
yes.
By
stepping back.
any means, that's
Yeah,
right. By any
exactly.
means. So what do we think about, so Mars, out of Pisces, onto the world point, meets Neptune, and then meets Saturn. Do we see this as a turning point somehow of what's going on right now?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
Could be. Yeah, because it's Mercury in there as well, huh? It's Mercury, Saturn, Mars.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't put the
Yeah.
Mercury in, but yeah,
So,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
because like normally you would think of Mars Saturn as
Hmm.
quite a difficult conjunction, two malefics coming together. But actually, Bonatti, he sort of says if the conjunction is ruled by a planet in its own dignity, right? Mars is in its own sign, that it
Hmm.
actually has quite a more benefic, even a benefic effect. And so I kind of, you kind of search through your charts if you've got anything, like a conjunction with Mars and Saturn in Aries. And I only had one, and that was the Good Friday Agreement, which ended the troubles in Northern Ireland. It was the deal that
Right.
Tony Blair made. And it was the end of it was the end of what had been 30 years of horrendous
Hmm.
fighting, bombings, pub bombings across the UK, etc.
Wow, wow.
So
Good
the
point.
peace process and the actual signing of the Good Friday Agreement took place under a Mars-Saturn conjunction in Aries. So there's some hope with Mercury in there as well, especially as, yeah, Netanyahu has elections in Israel this year. Trump has got the midterms. I mean, it's just how far can you take this? It
Yeah.
doesn't I mean, Iran belongs there. It's home.
Right,
I had
right.
this insight about the chart of the US thoughts just this week planning for this.
I've got the chart of the US. Let's just finish up this
Sorry,
thing,
yeah.
Liz, and then we can talk over that. But I've just put that grand. What are we calling it? The grand sextile? No, it's
It's got numerous names, haven't it? Wasn't it? It's sort of called
Yeah.
the Wedge by Austin Kopek, and it's been called the Basket, I think, by Bob Bow. It's had
okay,
it's had,
right.
but I like angel wings. I'll go with that.
Well,
Angel
yeah, I've
wings.
heard the angel wings because of the two overlapping, kind of
Yeah.
triangles, sextile trines.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, this is what, 21st of July. Before that, we have Mars Uranus conjunction on the 4th of July at 4 Gemini, which is in between. Sorry, which is there. But yeah, like, is this a good thing, or is this Pluto? I mean, first of all, is Pluto opposite Jupiter, you
I
know.
think I
I
think
It,
mean,
these
it
days,
appears it appears a very divine pattern, I think, almost like a sacred formation, but not sacred. But something is being born, right? Something is being born here. A new idea may be emerging. For example, if Uranus, brings the idea and Neptune gives meaning to that idea, and Pluto transforms that meaning into the system, and also Jupiter spreads it to the masses. But if we also include maybe, personal planets at that time, I don't know, maybe moon in this picture, but it suggests that the process can descend to the level of the public as well. It feels like an important system has the potential to turn into a collective movement. But here we can think about that information, networks, communication technologies, okay, but still we should not forget one key is this is a sextile aspect. So even though sextiles are harmonious, they do not function like trains. So in a train, there is a natural and automatic flow, whether positive or negative. We
yeah,
don't know, but things move quickly on their own. But in a
Mm,
sextile, intention and action are required. So, one must make a choice. If you want something to happen during that period, you have to take a step forward. It's because sextile aspects wait for you to act. If you do not act, nothing happens. So yes, there is a network opportunities here, I think, but those who can create connections, maybe organize themselves and activate these opportunities will be the ones who benefits from it, I think.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they always say in crisis, there's a lot of what do you call it, opportunities are raised in
Mhm.
in many ways. I've seen these sextiles, especially the Pluto, Neptune, Uranus one that we've had before the Jupiter. Is the leaders getting away with too much? Right? I keep going, and when are they going to be stopped?
yeah.
Israel and the US. When are they going to be stopped? It's almost like, so is this kind of, accentuating that even more with Jupiter in Leo? Like they get away with something else? I can't
Yeah.
help but see that.
I agree. I agree. Especially every time we're talking about the Jupiter Pluto aspect, I always
Mm,
remember many of our dear colleague in US refer this set of aspect as a greatest reach, and
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, yes, they hiding their tax evasion
yeah,
money in
yeah,
the
yeah.
Virgin Island, this island. They're hiding all those subversion, and that's beautiful. But the one thing is like they have a Trump. People are just like, oh, we don't want a Trump, and I was just like thinking about the problem is deep-rooted with Pluto, deep-rooted in the whole system in the United States. I don't want to say America, in the whole United States. And they have to really unearth that root in the whole system. If not, well, either Democrat or Republican, they are going to face the same challenge again and again unless they really unroot that Pluto things. At least give them some tool. Like Kenan say, you need some action. And I think this is also be creative. You don't really need to do it in a hard way, but you can do it in a creative way, trying slowly, to work out if they want. If they don't want, for example, if they still want to enjoy every comfortable life and enjoy cheap labor from Mexico, China, Latin America, well, I don't think things will change, to be honest. They have to be fair to other people because all the beautiful Hollywood image is built up sorry, I sound like I'm very super left-wing voice is calling, but that's the fact. That's the fact. They're building on that pyramid. There's the poor people, the slavery, modern slavery underneath. Unless they flip this up, unless they change this, another Trump will continue coming up.
That's
That's
it. Yeah.
Now, I
Gosh.
think if I look at that, right, if I think then, because like Neptune Pluto's been going on for decades, I have it in my birth chart, because it's a really 490 odd year cycle, right? So that moves very slowly. So the sort of incomer here that's changing the dynamic, it looks like really it's Uranus. So this is the first trine since the conjunction in the 60s. And we know the sextile took place in like 94, 95, 96. It was within Orb. And it like changed the world, that period of time. We had Amazon, we had all these enormous developments in the field of technology, which started in the 60s as well. So what I get a feel here is like, we know it's speeding up since Pluto went into Aquarius, and, the whole AI thing has just sort of dropped out of the sky almost. But, you have to look at this chart and see, for example, I know it's like, sort of a random chart in a way just set for those 4 degrees, but Saturn is opposite the moon. So you have to wonder who's left behind, who can keep up with this development in terms of lifestyle, older people who just can't handle the speed of it all. But this looks to me like a real rapid advance on a lot of levels with regards
to keep up or get left behind kind of thing.
Or get left behind. It's like there's a lot of people are going to drop off here. It feels like a rapid development. And maybe some of those people who drop off, are actually choosing to. That can happen as well with Uranus and Gemini, right? That people think, hey, I'm going off piste. I can't be doing with this. But there is definitely a technological ramping up of speed, I think, with that combination.
Yeah, right.
Some
surveillance as well, or ID cards, you can see all that sort of in there somehow. Mercury's retrograde too again. Look at that.
Yeah, again, yeah, exactly. All of the retrograde periods this year, I think Maurice Fernandez did a good piece on that, but they're all retrograde in the water signs this year, which slows things down, and it wants us to reflect on things and like feel a bit, get in contact with our own feeling borders, not because you can completely live outside yourself and have your avatar doing, it's not a good life, is it? Do you know what I
mean? One thing I want to throw it over, but I keep asking myself this question is Liz mentioned about this Neptune sextile the Pluto. It was happening like you mentioned from 60s and then continuing, and there is a period of time we know that the period of time they stopped contacting each other. I mean, this Neptune, the forming of sextile between the Neptune and the Pluto.
A little bit.
Yeah,
they went out
1993. Liz mentioned about Good Friday or something like that, and around that time, Schengen signing in 1993 until 2020. we have to think about what happened during this time without this sextile. But European has its golden age during that time.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw this that inspires us. Let's think about what happened during that 20 years, that kind of 20 years, what happened, and what's different between these two periods. Yeah.
That's a research project, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just didn't have time to do it.
Article for the CI
Really.
Cosmic Intelligence Agency.
Yeah, there you go.
As if you had nothing to do.
And there's an eclipse at 4 Pisces, although this might be out a bit, but still that's there. The nodes changing as well. You know, we've talked, well, we haven't got time to talk a lot about
just
that,
quick.
but yeah.
Just added one thing with that note. Famous financial astrologer in last 2 centuries, Louis McWhite, always mentioned us. United States of business cycle going to the bottom. We haven't seen yet. Going to the bottom.
In the Leo Aquarius axis?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially when North Node move into Aquarius.
Right.
But you know how fast they have to fall to the bottom before July.
Well, I mean, it's almost
It's started. We can see the sign. We can see the sign because for years, when 2 years ago, when we were both in Kenan's conference, we were talking about that. I was thinking, if they take 2 years falling, it will be slowly. But I said we haven't seen the sign, and even now we just see a tiny bit and still try to get it back. Are you just like, okay, you will see?
Okay, keep an eye on that. Well, here's a few charts. I know we've probably gone longer. Did any of you have to go soon or anything? Let me know. Couple more things.
Sure.
So any comments about, so this is Israel's chart and Netanyahu's chart. I mean, you know, something that you see for Israel is, you know, Jupiter moving into Leo, and over the top here, over the midheaven, and, you know, over all these Leo planets, trined by, you know, Neptune and so on. Is this more fuel for their fire?
I believe the ego factor is still present, right?
Big time, yeah, right.
Strong tension, still the strong tension. However, since the South Node is in Leo, you know, and you know, some people will continue to want to stay. But but we need to think about the side of Aquarius. So let's decide together.
So,
you know,
Pluto.
What we were just looking at that grand sextile is, of course, right on their moon there as well.
Yeah,
you know, something's got to give in that position, or do they get what they want? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, Netanyahu, because he is coming into a long period now of Saturn opposite his stellium in Libra, right?
Libra.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and there's an election in October. I think generally people support what he's doing, but you know, depending on how America decides to go, I mean, I think there might be some fallout in that relationship between the US and Israel, because most people are of the opinion that America was kind of led into this under the sort of premise that it was going to be like, you know, Venezuela. It's going to be a quick hit and we're out of there.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think if you hear like some of the things that are being said out of Washington, I don't think they should have, but they didn't really anticipate the fallout. So there might be a crisis there in you know, in the relationships, you know, in the
Well, they're very hard to like, the relationships. That's right. It's almost like, you know, US and Israel are together, but who else is with them? You know, who else is there?
But yeah, that if you look at Israel, for example, that ingress, you know, so everything is falling there. Well, everything. There's a lot happening in the sixth house there, isn't it? Which again points to their military and the degree of aggression that,
Mm.
that they're willing to dish
And
out.
again, all the international laws being broken,
Oh
so to
gosh, yeah,
speak,
Mm.
how many things that they have been,
yeah,
kind of need to be pulled up for, in a sense.
yeah,
The Mars, coming through now for his fourth house
yeah.
here, that will be interesting sort of
And
time
Saturn
as
as
well.
well. Yeah, Saturn
And
going.
Saturn, yeah, and the Mars Saturn. So you kind of think, I mean, and that's going to happen. What degree, Liz? About 7, isn't it? 7 or
7,
something?
yeah.
Yeah, 7, yeah, 7,
7
8 degrees,
degrees.
7
Yeah.
plus with Mercury. So, yeah,
Yeah.
he's certainly got some opposition, you could say, because the fourth house mundane, that's like opposition to the ruler. So I
Yeah.
think there will be a possibility now to at least test the water. How big is the opposition? Because
Anyway, keep an eye on all of this. Let us go to now US chart with the ingress chart on the outside. We've mentioned a few things. Jupiter's just stationed near the sun. Pluto's on the nodes, just post a Pluto return, which was 2 years ago or something. Chiron return. And we've got Neptune and Saturn right on the IC.
yeah,
Um,
that's
and they
right.
start a war. I mean, God,
Yeah, yeah,
And this
yeah.
year,
a
the
And
war on
shifts.
oil, like
yeah.
really.
Yeah,
And all those Pisces planets squaring, US Mars, right, in Gemini as well, that lineup that we've had, the retrogrades, the start of the war, they've all
Yes,
been at
yes,
Mars.
yes. And that
and
Mars
the
is, of
shift.
course, Trump's son, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
21,
Yes,
21.
indeed.
But
Yeah.
what I
And
wanted
the
to say
shift.
about the Mars, because I think it's interesting in the US chart, it's just a thought that occurred to me the other day. Um,
Yeah.
that this chart, the US Sibley chart, it's actually a declaration of war, right? I mean, this at this point they
Yeah.
hadn't gained their independence from Britain. The war was just starting. And
Right.
these were like a group of what you could say, what were they called? They're often referred to as ragtag militias that fought that war against the British. I mean, at the time, British was one of the biggest, most powerful countries in the world, and Britain lost. And you see that kind of pattern in the kind of wars that America tends to get involved with. It's always these like little ragtag militias. Like if you look at the war in Vietnam or in Iraq or all of these wars they go into, they're always beaten in a way by a kind of army that almost replicates their own Mars. They're like not really like a conventional army in
Interesting.
because they were called ragtag militias. They were
Right.
farmers. They were anyone that, could be gathered. They had no real training. And yet they brought down the mighty British Empire, So I think there's something really interesting about US Mars and its square Neptune, of course, as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That religious fervor.
Yeah, yeah. We're
There's
going to
also,
see.
the shift the north and south nodes, the opposite sides this year.
Yeah, right.
That's
Yeah.
Not a
interesting.
return.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
an exact degree, but we can see. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Jupiter will move through the eighth house.
Yeah.
Uh, what else? This. Anyway, keeping an eye on all of these charts here.
And I totally agree with Liz. Liz is a great astrologer, by the way, you know that. But you know that maybe we can say that this is not just about one person. The person visible on stage. They will. The importance is the backside, the backstage of the this scenery. We need to observe the backstage, I think, this year.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
You
also
know,
maybe
you
Mercury
know,
retrograde in water signs as well. The
Mm.
hidden, the depth, water kind of can keep things quietly to themselves, can't they? It's a
Mm.
kind of it's a
Yes.
subterranean movement. And yet
yeah,
most
Now,
of the planet is water, right? Let's face it.
mm,
It's kind
I
of a
mean, I'm just thinking about the Mars retrograde that will come up and peak on the ascendant here for Trump.
Yeah.
Next January. February, it will peak. So the retrograde of Mars will be a big long one, right
Oh
over
yeah.
Interesting.
a
Yeah.
nice big long one, and peak at zero at zero Aries. Zero Virgo.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, one thing I wanted to ask you now, I thought about this. So I've put, oh, hang on, no, where have I gone? Can you see that? Yeah, I've changed it. So, oh, hang on, maybe I haven't. No, this is what I've, sorry, here. So, what I wanted to just do is Trump's chart as in, what do you call it, whole sign houses, because if we think about Jupiter going into Leo, whole sign house people that use whole sign houses would be seeing it going into his first house already. Whereas those of us that use quadrant house systems, Jupiter will be going, mostly into the 12th house. How do we kind of, it's such a different perspective from, like to look at Jupiter moving through a first house scenario or a 12th house scenario. Which
Yeah.
one's going to work? Both,
Both
somehow.
both of them, of course.
But I
I
just
don't
found it
think
was
anyone
curious
would be
thing to think
brave
about.
enough. Anyone would be brave enough say, no, I'm the absolutely truth. I'm the only one who correct. But I agree with, and I think Kenan, Liz all say both work, yes, because it's, depend on which astrologer doing the interpretation. And then I think it is very interesting. We all struggling in this quadrant house or whole sign house, which one should use. And I think most of us are kind of trained in one way. We look both way.
My Mercury is in Libra, by the way,
So you
I
look at
really
both.
love.
You look
They
at
even
both.
navigate each other.
Yeah, but I think we have to go back to the original, the quadrant house. The quadrant house, what we use, we focus on the zodiac, the ecliptic intersect with horizon.
That
So
makes sense to me. Yeah, I
so
was
the
just
earth,
bringing it up. Yeah.
so the everyday's life. This is, I'm not saying the whole sign house is not based on earth, but is another view of the sky. You look whole sign all together. But the when people focus on the quadrant, especially with that ascendant and MCIC has is like coordinate. So I can say, well, from people like me who using the quadrant, used to very used looking the chart from the quadrant house system. And when we look at the whole side, we will say it brought it like you say, the Jupiter already moved into first house for the whole side. I say, yeah, and they can bring the feeling of it, or they can bring the expectation of it. But from our view, still in the 12th house, still brewing, still
Well,
fermentizing,
well,
still
again,
cooking.
like from when we think about it as a 12th house, let's say Jupiter moving into the 12th house,
Yeah,
ends it's going to hit his Pluto, blah, blah, blah. And it's the 12th house, which is the house of, self-undoing. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
like the sound of that. Um,
Brewing, cooking.
yeah, as opposed to a first house kind of experience where there's more, more kind of focus on him. It's almost, I want to see that retrograde on the ascendant, put it that
Maybe
way.
Inflated
let's do.
ego on the steroids.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah,
think.
right.
Let's
But
think
it could be
about what
something like that, trying to pump himself up, like,
yeah.
Oh,
way more,
definitely,
keep
definitely.
going.
Yeah.
Definitely, we can see he definitely going to pumping up, and then I think that could happen in the 12th house view. Another view is like he would be the a what we say a an agent or a something about whole this Jupiter Pluto system. He would be represent that super rich, those elite who ruin the whole United States, or maybe whole world, they say, in how they're going to face that challenge in that 12th
Yeah.
house. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
maybe be careful, he could be the one on the table to offer to
Yeah, I think,
sacrifice in the 12th house.
yeah, I think, yeah, you know, when we think about the both sides, maybe the signs are the houses of the sky, and the houses are the you know, houses of the earth, I think.
Yeah.
So if we use the signs and bring them down into the houses, we can see more fated themes, I think, because signs, you know, zodiac signs are fated themes. But if we work with the houses, especially with, you know, especially using the semi-arc system, then instead of fated matters, there are, you know, we are more likely to observe worldly, what I mean, you know, concrete events, and not faded, you know, the other version of this, you know, observation. Just think about this way, and when we approach this way, you know, Saturn and Venus is in, you know, Cancer in 12th house, a whole sign zodiac system. I think it's a fated, you know, fated themes. But Trump wants to prefer to use these fated themes in 11th house, you know, to to concrete, you know, to to gather people
To
around,
change the
you
system
know,
in his own mind.
Yeah.
In his
yeah,
own, well,
yeah.
he's doing it more than in his mind. He's
For
doing it,
example,
you
yeah,
know, for
yeah,
real. Yeah. I just realized this Mercury retrograde and stuff is trying his Mercury.
Aye.
Uh, anyway, it's interesting. Keep an eye on that. Now, we probably don't have to talk about this too much. I just was putting the date, the time that the war started in on
Thank you.
Iran. So Jupiter was at the IC of Israel, Mercury on the IC of Washington, stationing, and the moon over Tehran.
Yeah.
So,
Can I
Yeah.
just add there, if you look at the
mm,
position of Mercury there, because we were just looking at Trump, right? That
yeah.
Mercury is in his transit in Mercury. Would it not be in his 7th house, square in his sun and moon?
Well, it's squaring, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
So he,
22, where was it? Yeah,
Yeah,
seventh
yeah.
house. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
22 squares,
square
moon
is
and sun.
very
Yes.
close to square.
Trining the Venus, so he's got some allies, but then it's also squaring his sun and moon, where it's just like, hard to kind of like anyone.
Yeah.
Mm,
But it's
Like,
also
yeah.
yeah.
cloudy, muddying his thinking maybe, or, mixing it all up a bit in his head and heart and feeling. And, he's sort of, yeah, I just think he's
Mm.
Jupiter in as well in Cancer at the moment. It's all about patriotism, isn't it, with Jupiter in Cancer?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Love of
But I
yeah,
mean, he also
absolutely.
the
he
flag.
he acts so deluded because he just says we're winning, but there's kind of no
Yeah.
backup behind it. It's just in his
But why
mind
do
he's
you,
winning
yeah,
everything. He's
yeah.
great and he doesn't fail at anything. You
Well,
know.
Jupiter won on the first day, didn't you hear? On day one,
Wow.
they're
He was
already
thinking
coming up and saying, we've won the war,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah.
So
he should
bizarre.
be he should be good luck, so good luck to like replicate what happened in Venezuela. He was expecting here going to have like instant victory, like in
Yeah.
Venezuela, get Maduro out of it, and the whole Venezuela bow down and they say, okay, we cooperate with you.
Yeah.
One thing from this chart that was war in Iran a couple of days ago in my podcast, I was showing a star map to our audience. Is quite interesting. I want to add that in here. Okay, so when you look at the war in Iran for the Israel one, you will
Israel,
see
Israel.
that one. Yes, you will see the ascendant is like a 20 something late degree of
12,
Aries, 19, right?
19 Aries, yeah.
Yeah, around that degree. And that was very interesting because as I mentioned, on that day, the algo and Homo, the both, like one is algo is like a Medusa's head, and the Homo is the horn of the Aries. Both stars were actually actually on the horizon. So if you
Wow.
don't follow the zodiac degree, eclipse degree, if you go to see the stars on the actual sky, those star is rising up that time,
Like my
rising up.
background there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
and that was a surprising because I know most astrologers using the eclipse degree, but I will encourage people also check a star map because the actual star rising has its own true
Right.
power too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
when I see
interesting.
that happen, I was like, "Whoa, you couldn't make it up."
Wow,
Tomo
wow.
and Argo both rising on the horizon, and at that time, although 28-degree Taurus, 26-degree Taurus, or 8-degree Taurus are not rising.
Because you have to understand it. Like we see it
The
in a
latitude.
circle and it doesn't make sense. But when you see it
Yeah,
in a what are we using? Stellarium map, you can
yeah,
see
yeah.
how things rise. It's a really
Yes,
important tool to use, I think, to understand our astrology charts in
yes,
the real sky. Yeah, for sure.
yes, yes.
It almost
Yeah.
brings us right back as well, doesn't it? And kind of points out what an ancient civilization Iran is. I mean, a lot of our astrology
Yeah.
born there, it comes from that region. I mean, it's a really amazing country. I mean, it doesn't speak Arabic. It has its own language,
Persian,
Persian,
yeah,
that it has held on
yeah.
to. It's an ancient tongue.
It's an ancient civilization. It's
Ancient,
actually a
yeah.
Indeed, yes.
civilization
And
very
that's,
strong.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
That's where it all started, the Baru priests going out looking at the sky, charting the eclipses, etc.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
almost like really poignant that those two stars then happened to be on the horizon at that time.
Mm.
Yeah,
Gosh. Well, what will
fascinating.
happen? I mean, again, I think the Jupiter going into Leo, we will definitely see a shift of some kind, right? From the
Mhm.
Cancer, um, Jupiter in Cancer holding on to everything. Jupiter in Leo is just gonna, well, blow it, exaggerate what's happening to see it for more exposure, I suppose, exposing
Mhm.
what has happened, perhaps further.
It was,
Um, we're nearly at the end, so I just wanted to bring out that so Venus was a morning star, just come out as a morning star, or evening star, sorry, at this point. And again in Time Lords magazine back in March 25, and Turkish astrologer Didem, she,
Didem Can.
yeah, she wrote about like we understand Venus mostly as a morning star, as the warrior kind of archetype and very much associated with war, although that probably comes from the Mayan understanding more than, well, there's a lot of different cultures about
Mhm.
Venus morning phases and evening phases, but didn't done the research and found like the beginning of wars more starting with an evening Venus than a morning one. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting.
But she said it's, there's a lot more to do. It's still very involved study that she did, but I just wanted to point that out because, again, as a lot of things in astrology, we sort of take them for granted. Oh, it's been
Yeah.
handed down the line, it's been said until someone questions why or finds out more and more why, right? We can kind of think about it more. But anyway, this is where people get led to. It's like, so have a think about it. It's not always, she doesn't always have to be a morning star to start a war, although she was when the Israel war began on,
Mhm.
Yeah.
23, let's say that attack.
Rod, Rod, I've just checked the NATO's charts, and I see that Pluto and Hamal, the fixed star Hamal, make a parallel aspects. And you mentioned the Hamal, I think Turkey is in a truly strategic position right now. I don't know, but you know that if an attack were directed at Turkey, NATO would step in, because
Yeah,
Turkey
right. Because
is
they're
Mhm.
in
not likely
NATO.
to
Yeah.
enter the war in the
Mhm.
Middle East at that moment because Turkey is a NATO member.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
But I don't think there will a direct attacks against it. But Hamal, I don't know, like Aries mass quality.
Mhm.
What do you think? I don't know.
Lead the
Because it's
right way.
yeah,
Lead the
yeah.
right way, like an Aries.
Do you think,
Um,
Kenan, that people in Turkey feel unsettled by what's happened in the Middle East and maybe unsettled because Israel seems to be becoming the superpower in that region now? And, Turkey is quite an important country as well as a bridge between East and West. I just wondered how people feel, in Turkey at the moment. Do they feel threatened by Israel or that they might be next?
Yeah. I think if Turkey does not experience the war physically, but I believe it will be affected economically. So
Okay.
especially the Turkish people wants to try to figure out, the maybe in the next 3 months and beyond, maybe Jupiter will be in, Leo, I think, because in geodetically, let's think about, Turkey's corridor associated with Taurus and Leo and Aquarius. When we think about these fixed signs, we can say that maybe a migration wave, a significant financial strain. I think we will start to
they
feel
all
these
feel it,
effects more
yeah.
strongly, especially
Mm.
during and after the period when Jupiter moves into
Okay.
Leo, Liz.
That's good to
But
know.
right now, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
No,
Mm.
observe.
I saw a program about it and it was like, the basic trait was, will Israel tolerate Turkey then, if it's kind of got complete control of it.
Jupiter is linked to religion, by the way. So we need to,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But as you
I
say,
mean,
because Turkey is in NATO, that is a different ball game, right? It's like there's lots
Mm.
of things going on. Would Israel use a bomb, for example? What do they call it? There's a name for it. I can't remember now. Samson or something effect. That they would, if they lost a war, they would be entitled to use their nuclear power, sort of thing. But you can go as dark as you want with what's happening
Mm.
in the world at the moment, right? And yeah, I think it's important, therefore, to have a Mercury retrograde in Cancer that you let go of it all and turn in on your own private things, your family or whatever, your life.
Good,
yeah,
But
I
really good.
mean, there's not many things we can change about what's going on out there. We
no,
report on it as best as we can.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
does kind of make you harken back to what's most important, doesn't it? When there's sort of
yeah, yeah,
threats
yeah,
out there, it's like, well, I've got my husband and my kids, and
yeah,
like
Mhm.
you really appreciate what you have. So there are those things that rise up.
yeah,
Um,
emotional connection between,
yeah,
well, in your,
yeah.
which is very Mercury, people next
Now,
door.
Rod, did you want to share anything or not?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You
I think we
sure?
covered most of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, look, we'll wrap up. Any sort of closing words? I was just going to remind you to go to Time Lords magazine. Amazing articles by Kenan, Rod. We reviewed your comic book last time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Liz's articles. I've got a few that, again, all kind of really relevant to to what we've talked about in the last year or so as well. So, but yeah, any closing words on that ingress or how we're going? I just got a few promo things before well, we can talk about it as I go. Now we have a retreat going on in Mexico in September.
Oh.
But of course, we haven't been promoting it in this climate so much, but we are still going ahead. We had a meeting the other day, and we got three Mexican natives that are, part of this organization of this. And it's all about Venus. It's when Venus is an evening star in Scorpio. It's all about the kind of the descent of Venus, down to Earth for her next retrograde. Um, Venus in the Mayan tradition was the serpent Kukulkan who would go into the Earth. We are going to visit Chichen Itza, and then the shadow of the
Wow.
snake goes over Chichen Itza. Anyway, it's all related. It's an amazing program. And so Ursula, Yuri, and Alejandra are all Mexican. And Alejandra's just been to that area going, oh, it's all fine here. You wouldn't know anything was going on. But again, anything can happen. We do have a great what do you call it? Refund policy. The early bird was supposed to finish this weekend. So if you are wanting to join us, we are more than half full and everyone's still raring to go. So we're not giving up. It's that sort of attitude. You know what I mean? Like we are going forward and we hope everything will die down and we will be able to. So have a look online. It's an amazing event with Ariel Gutman, myself. Yuri is an astrologer, Western astrologer, but also a Mayan archaeological expert on cosmology and Venus. So we're really lucky to have a whole lot of wonderful people. For the CIA, what's coming up next well, the 19th of March, so just after this is aired, planetary nodes with Mark Jones. Now, Jupiter's heading to the nodes of Saturn and Pluto, so I know I want to ask him about that. um, and then after that, April the 2nd, we've got the fabulous Lynn Bell on unraveling the stellium. So that's a topic we haven't had before. Well, understanding really what these stelliums that we're in right now, from outer planet stelliums to personal planet stelliums, which I have. Anyway, will be interesting for all of us. And then because it's astrology day this weekend, the equinox and the Aries Ingress, we always like to give a 20% off sale to the membership. Now, all of these amazing agents have got their great webinars in there as well. Liz, we'll have to get you to do another one. I think yours was maybe 2 years ago now. Kenan has got an amazing few of them now. I can't remember all the topics. Astrocartography, using it with traditional rulers. Is that right? It
Wow, yes,
was.
there is.
Rod on comets.
Yeah.
I just did one on Saturn and Neptune. So there's a whole lot of things. And what we've got coming up as well. Sol on Chiron. So all the things that are coming up, Chiron in Taurus. We've got the black luminaries, which I don't know much about. Do you guys know black luminaries at all?
Uh,
Europeans do more so than we do here.
it's big in Holland, Charlotte
Yeah,
Ven.
right. So find out about that. We've been doing some chart clinics, so people reading for each other with meetings, splitting up groups and stuff, and we'll do more of those. So anyway, I think it's a treasure trove of amazing stuff. So check it out and, come and meet us at the CIA more often. But mostly, look, thank you guys for joining today. That is so cool.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for organizing. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
that.
Well, again, thanks for your time. Happy equinox, happy astrology day. Do you do anything to celebrate? Kenan runs an amazing school in
Oh,
Istanbul and Turkey, and the CIA, members translating our videos and stuff. So doing an amazing job with the agents there. Do you guys do something for Astrology Day?
Uh,
maybe we can say that, but I don't know. Well, but let's think about it. Let's live on.
Yeah, it's a few days
So
away.
on
What
behalf
about you,
of
Liz? What about in Amsterdam? Anyone get together?
I'm still sort of slightly landing. I mean, I'm back a week away,
Right.
10 days,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm slowly, my son's getting married in a couple of weeks, so
Oh,
it's all happening. So
beautiful.
yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe it would be nice to do something. Yeah, I probably will do something. Yeah, yeah.
Well, we'll do something at home anyway. And Rod, keep up with Rod. He has an amazing channel where you manage to get like 6 or 8
Yeah.
astrologers together from around the world. So what is it? AOUK,
AOA
On
UK, yeah.
March,
AOA
AOA.
on March
UK.
20, on March 28th at Rhodes Academy, I will be presenting a detailed analysis of what the Uranus and Gemini transit may bring,
Oh, okay,
especially for the
cool.
next 7-8 years, including, declination shifts, because,
Cool.
It will move quite a lot in declination at that
quite a
time?
lot,
Okay.
because in 2012, Uranus made an important declination transition. And, since then, we have been moving towards
Because
a very
it moved north. It moved north? Yeah.
north
Mhm.
again.
Right.
So I have prepared
Yeah.
some striking examples and case studies on this topic.
All
So,
right.
so
So look,
thank you, my cousin.
I'll put the links to all the articles I've mentioned, everyone's website. Get in touch with them, get a reading. They're all fantastic. And mostly join the CIA for much more great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, guys.
Okay,
Happy
thank
equinox.
you.
Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Thank you.